Alrighty folks, from Attack 2 for Time Attack onto some racing action. Our first racing action of the day, and it is Race 1, Round 7 of the 2025 Racing Hondas Championship. And as you can see, they're all lined up present and correct in the assembly area, ready to go. You just saw the front row pair of Will Self and Phil Wright. You've just seen there the most of Liam Collins' Honda Integra. There is Tommy Knight's EK9 Honda Civic. Dan Brown, good to have him back. He's the reigning Class A champion, only here for a one-off cameo appearance, and looks as though they managed to get that car fixed despite it pulling up midway through qualifying. I suspect it was a similar issue to that which he suffered in practice that saw him having to replace the drive shaft. There's the man that leads Class A in the championship. Kevin Talbot comes into this weekend. Looking at the standings, he came in with 82 points over Phil Wright with 68 points and Will Self on 62. Another car welcome to see back as part of the Garage 24 stable is James Allen in his Fast and Furious inspired EG Civic sedan. Here's Dave Buki, head of Kinetic Motorsport. He is in the number 51, that beautiful looking white EK Civic. And we've got two of the EGs, our two Kilted K-Squaps drivers all the way from Scotland, Bob Barron and Fraser McNeil. A little flash of the headlights in there too as well. Now this is a present sight as well. We saw him pull up in qualifying. Dan Thackeray has made it onto the grid, so the car will start 11th and in Class B pole position. Here's one of the cars next to him is going to be James Kiff. He was one of the sensations when he debuted at Brands Hatch. Excellent starting for him. He got a 7th and a 5th overall, which is really impressive. James Alford in his another EK Honda Civic, if I can get the words out. Good to see him on the grid. He is looking to start in 13th on the grid, lucky for some. And he'll be trying to make his way up the orders. The cars now get the green flag to make their way onto the grid for a 15-minute race. I guess the big talking point is going to be, as we see Ryan Cunningham and co. also make their way out, is looking at the skies overhead. Are we going to get some precipitation? It's held off all day, but as I was walking to the commentary box a couple of moments ago, right at the end of that last Attack 2 session, it was looking rather grey and overcast and had the feeling like it might just want to start sprinkling a few bits of rain. I guess the question's got to be if it's going to rain. If it is, how severe is it going to be and for how long is it going to rain? Because most of these drivers, I'm certain, would have gone out there with pretty much dry setups unless they're anticipating the weather. Well, before we get racing underway and before we get the formation lap underway to go through the grid, our roving reporter Charlie Harmon was in the paddock earlier on, and she was also talking to a few more drivers. Here's an interview from one of them earlier on this morning.
Right, I'm here with Will. Now, Will, you're one of our Class A drivers. Going into Snet, how are you feeling?
Not sure. So it was here Thursday testing, and the weather was nothing like it is today.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, was it?
No, it was pretty biblical. They shut the track at sort of 11 o'clock. It was raining so heavily, so it was an interesting day, but learned nothing as far as helping today. So going into sort of practice and qualifying, having not driven the car around here in the dry, so not really sure. It's a long lap. I know, like Phil's done a lot of laps around here. It's his local circuit.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible, so that we can have a good fight at the front.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, a few mechanical issues at the last round. All sorted.
I think so. It was a fuel supply issue. One of the fuel pumps failed, so effectively what I've done is put the whole fuel system in the bin and start again.
Okay.
So hopefully that's all good now. Got a bit of a worry about the gearbox this morning.
Oh no!
It's making some funny noises, so I'm hoping that lasts today, because I could really do with not having more issues and starting from the back of the grid.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, you're a bit unstoppable in the beginning. Obviously, a few mechanical issues let you down, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think it might be interesting to see what I can do when I'm not starting from 10th on the grid.
Yes, yeah, definitely. No, 100%. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Good to hear from our pole sitter Will Self. That was prior to qualifying, as the 1 minute board goes up, and we're getting set for our first of two 15-minute races today. It seems quite odd that we're going racing for the first time today, only at what's roughly 22:03, which is a bit ahead of time, given that we have made up a bit of time from today's activities and swiftly worked through the timetable. So thanks to all of our officials for working so diligently to get this race meeting going forward as quickly as possible. So they're all getting set to head around the essentially 3-mile circuit. 2.969 miles is the official length, 4.779 kilometres. And Will Self looking to try and capitalise on that scorching pole position time, which also set the new lap record. In fact, everyone that set class pole positions got new lap records, because this is the first time on this particular layout at Snetterton that the Racing Hondas have raced. The previous 2 years, 2023 and 2024, were on the shorter, more original 200 layout, where they came through off of the Montreal hairpin, then just flick left onto the Bentley straight. Whereas here they're utilising the full 300 circuit in its entirety. So the green flag flies, and Will Self will lead them off onto the formation lap. And once we've done that, we will take you through the grid of how they line up. So Will Self on pole by 1.5 seconds. He will head them off from pole position. We Phil right alongside him, the 2023 champion, on second position. Liam Collins and Tommy Knight on the second row of the grid together, Integra and Civic EK. Then Dan Brown, good to have our 2024 Class A champion back in fifth on the grid, alongside the points leader in Class A, Kevin Talbot. James Allen, for his second appearance of the season after he debuted at Cadwell Park, his new Fast and Furious style Civic starts 7th, and Dave Buki, boss of Kinetic Motorsport, in his EK Civic, will round off the 4th row of the grid in 8th. Back to the bottom of the top 10, we find an all-kilted K-Swaps EG row with Bob Barron ahead of Fraser McNeil. Then Dan Thackeray, despite the drive shaft problems he had in warm-up and qualifying, has got out to start from Class B pole position alongside James Kiff and his Honda Integra in Class A. James Alford's Honda Civic EK9 comes next in 13th on the 7th row, alongside defending overall champion Ryan Cunningham in Class B, Carnival 1. Then Lewis Barker for Europa Crash Centre, and Sam Linster for Ben Sharp Racing makes up row 8. Row 9 is where we find our other Kinetic Motorsport car, which is Sammy Milo alongside Spencer Fortag in his FN2, then Duncan Holloway in the Souls EP3 Civic for Honda Motorsport, who are also running Kevin Talbot from this weekend onwards. He starts alongside Luke Crassus-Medi to round off the top 20, and then it's Class C pole sitter Matt Rowling, who's alongside Callum Houchin on the 11th row of the grid, with Anthony Allett starting from the back of the grid in his Honda EP3 Civic, running in Class A. So 23 runners ready to go for 15 minutes of racing Honda's action here at Snetterton in Norfolk. The Snetterton circuit has been in operation for quite a long time. It started out being at RAF Snetterton Heath, which was a World War II US Air Force air base that opened in 1943. Closed in 5 years later. Started racing here in 1951 on the airfield layout, and managed to convince them. And they used an original 2.71 mile layout. In fact, they used to have a very long straight. Where the Bentley straight was, it then turned off to the left, and then was what was the long Norwich straight. And according to some facts I put here, it had a tight hairpin that was marked out with oil drums and Christmas trees, incredibly. 1965, they put in the first chicane, which is what we used to know as Russell, which is now Coram and Murray section. There was a shorter circuit, which was in 1974. That eventually phased out the older circuit until 1980. That same year, they also ran the first ever 24-hour race in the UK, the Will Hire 24 Hours. That ran for 14 years until 1994. Also ran the first ever Formula Ford Festival here for 4 races from 1972 to 1975. And then Jonathan Palmer took on Snetterton Circuit in 2004, changed the layout in 2011, and these days it hasn't hosted any international events yet, but it still runs championships such as BTCC, British GT, and British Superbikes amongst its headline championships. So the cars make their way around onto the formation. That 3 classes, classes A, B and C, all separated by power to weight ratio. You also get points for the top 5 positions in qualifying, which means that Will Self would have scored himself 5 bonus points for qualifying in pole position. It would have then been Kevin Talbot, Phil Wright getting 4 points for second, and Collins, Knight and Dan Brown. Well, Dan Brown, yes, he would have got points registered. So 3-2-1 for them. It would have also been 5 class points for Class B for Dan Thackeray, who starts 11th, and also 5 class points for Matt Rowling as well, being on top on Class C. The field making their way around. As you can see, if you're first time watching Racing Hondas, there's a real variety of cars here. It's not just a single spec of car, it's not just a single spec of Honda Civic or in particular Honda. There's lots of different specifications. You've got the older, the new, the more contemporary, the future cars as well. You've also got in there not just Civics, but Integras in there as well, both DC2 and DC5. And we love to see more different models. We love to see Honda Jazzes, CRXs, others on top of that, even NSX. I'd love to see someone like a Honda Beat or a Jazz turn up, or something like that, a Prelude, something different in the championship. We've got a great variety of Civics and Integras, and it really does make it one of the most popular championships for a single make in the country, and it is the best Honda championship in the country if you love variety and good, close, competitive, multi-class club racing over a single make. So, Will Self then, with his brand new qualifying lap record, lines up on the front row of the grid on pole position. He is the red Honda Civic EG on the left with the black bonnet. Watch for Phil Wright in the silver and yellow EP3 Honda Civic alongside him. Second row to watch out for, it's the practically all black DC2 Integra of Liam Collins, and then the almost touring car-esque looking blue EK9 of Tommy Knight. Third row is the all black EG Civic of Dan Brown, and then you've got the almost Jordan 191-esque tribute liveried Integra DC5 of Kevin Talbot, and also watch for the likes of the two Kilted K-Swaps cars, the silver and yellow EG Civics respectively. Last couple of cars just getting into place at the back of the field, watching for the green flag, and when the red lights go on, as you know, it's all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in, and it will do in a few moments' time. Green flag at the back then. Stand by for action then. It is round 7 of the 2025 Racing Hondas Championship. Will Self on pole position. Can he translate the qualifying form into his second race win of the season? The red lights go on. Red lights go at any second now, and we are racing. Clean start from the first couple of rows. Good getaway from Dan Brown from row 3. He's challenging both Liam Collins and Tommy Knight to the outside, down towards Richie's corner, but it's from pole position on the inside line. Will Surf will hold on. It's almost 3 abreast of the pack for third place as they turn into Richie's for the first time. There goes Talbot round the outside of Collins. So Collins has got a horrible start. He's back down from 4th to 6th already. He's been passed by both Dan Brown and Kevin Talbot as they go into Montreal for the first time. It's 180-degree hairpin, named after the same hairpin that is in the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, which the Formula 1 circus uses. Everyone's got through the first couple of corners nice and cleanly. It's what we love to see. Side by side now for 4th as there goes up the inside. That was Kevin Talbot getting past Dan Brown. So the championship leader not wasting any time after a less than satisfactory qualifying. Dan Brown comes back at him on the inside, has a little peek. But now look at that, down for third place. So Kevin Talbot is not wasting any time at all. He's passed, off the start, he has passed Liam Collins into turn 1. He's then passed... That was Dan Brown into Palmer's and into Agostini. He tried to get past Tommy Knight. Knight tried to fight back on the inside through Hamilton but couldn't make it stick. And now they come back towards Oggies, the double apex right-hander. There's a big scuffle going on for third down to about 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th position, full of Class A cars, which is fantastic to see. Lots of different shapes and sizes, but they're all pretty evenly matched. Top 2 are breaking away though. I can see that Will Self and Phil Wright are making the most of this start from the front row of the field. It's all the action backwards for third position. Down the back straight, down the Bentley straight for the first time, under the bridge into the Brundon-Nelson complex. Side by side for third is Self and Wright take the top 2 positions. Kevin Talbot's car wiggling around under brakes as it squirms to get it stopped for the left-hander, flicks right through Nelson, and now back on the power again. So it's in third place, I can see it's Talbot. 4th is Knight, 5th is Brown, 6th is Collins by the look of it in the Integra. Yes, 7th has gone Bob Barrett. He's up what was 2 places from where he started. It's now 8th for James Allen, 9th for Dave Bucke, who's lost a place, and in the top 10 is Fraser McNeil in the second of the Kilted K-Swaps cars. We'll check. That's big sideways moment for Tommy Knight. He's lost it. Round goes Tommy Knight. They were saying after practice, I overheard him saying the car was bouncing and skipping around. That might be a consequence of that, but Tommy Knight has had the worst possible end to his first lap. Big sideways moment, round he goes, and he's back to last and 23rd position, with it all to do with 12.5 minutes to go. End of lap number 1 as they come across the line to end the first racing lap. And it is Self who leads the way by 1.5 seconds. It's second place for Wright, third for Talbot, 4th for Brown. It's now side by side as Collins under threat from James Allen. We've got Dave Bucke swarming around. This will be for 6th, 7th and 8th position as Bucke tries to get up the inside of Allen, who then gets the power on and now tries to put himself level. A spit of flame on the upshift. Rest of the order will check in for Class B as they go through Palmer for the second time. Class B, it's Thackeray who leads by half a second from Ryan Cunningham. Spencer Fortag is up 4 places from where he started already in class. He's up to 3rd in class and 14th overall. Lewis Barker 4th and Sammy Milam is in P5. And in the Class C battle, Callum Houchin has beaten Rowling off the line and he leads the way in category from his compatriot who's in the same awning as him. So Thackeray there, you can see the Class B battle closing up. It's a nice 6-car collective battling over position. Thackeray trying to get away. Cunningham in second place, leading Fortag and Barker. Also watch for Sammy Milam there, just wiggling around in white and blue. That is the number 9 machine. He's under threat from Sammy Lintzner. I think that's one of the Ben Sharp racing cars behind, if I'm correct, for Sammy Lintzner. I'll kick myself if I get that one wrong. He's in Class B. Yes, Ben Sharp Racing is part of that collective. Out of the right-hander at Williams they go onto the Bentley straight. There go the Class A leaders in front of us, which is keeping a bit of focus on Class B. Still nose to tail between Collins, Allen and Bucke, and keeping close attention there was Fraser McNeil in the second of the 2 Kilted K-Swaps Honda Civic EGs. Here's our Class B battle. Nice and close together. Just in the background there is Duncan Holloway in the sole EP3 being run by Honor Motorsport. No James Kembury this weekend, but they are also running for the first time from this weekend Kevin Talbot, and it's certainly showing. End of lap number 2, leaders come across the lines. We continue to watch the Class B battle. If anything, Dan Thackeray is catching the cars in front. Now, what's happened here, because it looks as though James Alford has... Oh, this is a different battle. This is James Alford, who's getting alongside Fraser McNeil, and they're both chasing James Kiff in the Honda Integra. They go side by side for position, and they're being chased by the Class B leaders. So these Class A cars might have been a different battle of their own as they turn in through Ritchie's to complete the third lap of the race. So 3 laps, the 2 laps in the books for the leaders. And Dan Brown set the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 5.229. And the only car that's matched that, really, is Will Self and another of the EG Civics. So the EG Civics certainly are working today. And Phil Wright was saying pre-race that he felt that the lighter, more agile cars would benefit here because of the tighter turns and the sort of lot more technical section that the 300 circuit offers, whereas the 200 layout, it's all about power, it's all about the straights, where the faster cars would certainly benefit. And even though Phil said that, he's doing quite well in second place at this point in time as Dan Brown just cocks the inside wheel through Hamilton and into Oggies, being chased hard by Kevin Talbot in the DC5 Integra. This is over... I get confused with the timing screen. So Dan Brown's got past Kevin Talbot since they came across the line. It was 1.5 tenths between them. So only as Dan Brown set the fastest lap of the race, he's also now past Talbot. He's up into third place and trying to chase after Phil Wright in second place. There go the leaders. A little puff of smoke from Will Self as he went into Brundle. Phil Wright giving chase. Then it's Brown in third position, Talbot fourth. And Bob Barron has moved his way up to fifth position. So good effort from Bob. He's put himself ahead of James Allen, with Liam Collins in there too. There's Tommy Knight, who had the spin up at Murray's at the end of lap number 1. And he has come across the line now. Where's he sitting at the moment? He is down in 20th place. He's only just got past Anthony Allett in another of the Class A cars, down in 21st position. Big forecast scrap going on here between Barron, Collins, Allen and Dave Buki. And Buki was being ambitious going round the outside. And he's going for it, round the outside to Coram. That is... I was about to say mental from Dave Buki, but he's got the inside line. Collins gives him the room, but it will be side by side, and Collins holds the outside line and the position as they sprint back down the centre straight. So whilst that's going on, it allows both Barron and Allen to get away. And they now are nose to tail down towards Ritchie's corner to start lap 4. As Full Self continues on, 2.5 seconds in the lead. Up the inside goes Allen, and that is a nice, neat pass to pick up the final top 5 place, and through he goes. So Barron down to 6th. As Collins now defends from Buki. Buki's one of those drivers where he won't give up. He's like a persistent sort of terrier. He'll keep on sort of fighting and battling until he gets the position. So come out of the Montreal hairpin. Quick checking with the Class B runners whilst we watch our Class A just to make sure we check in with them. Thackeray still leads Class B by 1.5 seconds from Cunningham. Fortag is in third place, then Barker, Milam and Lindsay. That's the top 6 all together in their own fight for position. Lots of personal bests coming on that third lap. So a little wide on the exit of Agostini hairpin. Then comes that scrap between Collins and Buki. I wonder if there's a temporary truce there between them. They're going to try and catch up again. Here come the Class B runners behind that last little trio of Class A machines. There's Thackeray and Cunningham. Got Spencer Fortag chased down by Barker. And that's Tommy Knight, who's tearing his way through the field. He's got past Duncan Holloway. He's now up to 18th place. He now has a 6-pack of Class B cars that he wants to try and get himself much closer to and pick off one by one. Now back at the front, this is Dan Brown, who has really got the afterburners on at the moment, because he's now pulled himself right onto the back of Phil Wright. So we've got Phil Wright, who is the 2023 champion in Racing Hondas, now up against the class champion in Class A in 2024, and both of them battling pretty hard. Here's our Class C battle, which is actually closer than I thought it would be, because Matt Rowley's got past Callum Houchin. His last lap was 8 tenths of a second quicker. It's good to see our Class C runners. They've got the lowest power to weight ratio range, but good to see we've got them both battling amongst each other together on track. Good to see. Matt Rowley trying to extend his championship lead. Now, leaders back down the straight towards Ritchie's. Will Self has got this one now by 2.7 seconds. If I look at his lap times, how's he lapping compared to the cars behind? His last lap was a 2 minute 6.474, 206.7 for Wright. Dan Brown is absolutely lit up the timing speed. He's gone to second place. He's done a 2 minute 4.368. That's qualifying pace he's going for Dan Brown. He might only be here for one round, but he wants to make an impact here and remind everybody, I'm the Class A champion from last year, and this is exactly why. Through the left-hander at Palmer's. Now then, what pace has he got to catch after Will Selfie? Could this be a real duel of the EG Civics? Of course, they're both in the same stable. They're both from Garage 24. This will be literally an inter-team, inter-EG Civic battle between them. Phil Wright has slipped back to third place, but he's quite comfortable in P3. He's got some, what's that, 5.5 seconds over Kevin Talbot in fourth place. And Kevin himself is in no man's land too. He's got, that is roughly, 7 seconds. There he is in the background, just in the green DC 500 Integra going through the shot. Fourth for him, and quite a distance ahead of, basically 7 seconds ahead of James Allen, who is now pulled away from the battle for sixth between Bob Barron and Liam Collins, with Dave Buki also giving close attention. There's about 7 tenths between that scrap, so maybe we can keep tabs on the scrap for sixth going backwards, as well as the battles in the other classes. That's the thing with multi-class racing, you tend to be a little bit tricky. There's a yellow flag in the background, notice, and that's the reason why Spencer Fortag has come to a stop. And that looks like it's on the approach to Palmer, and it's stationary in the middle of the road. Now, if that car can't get going, do I dare mention the word safety car? Because if it can't get going again under its own steam, we may well have to possibly neutralise this race. And the only person that's going to benefit really is Will Self and the rest of the class leaders, because Dan Thackeray still leads Class B by, at the line, it was 2 seconds from Cunningham, with Milam in third place and Linsner in fourth, and Tommy Knight carving through them. This is still the fight going on for sixth, with Bob Barron having to fend off from Liam Collins, who's all over the back of him, trying to prise the door open up the inside at Cormier. They'll put him on the outside for the next corner, which is the left-hander at Murray's. Buki's in close attention as well. Bob Brown locking up that rear wheel again. He did that at Brands Hatch. Don't do that again, Bob. Otherwise, that could be a world of trouble. And for actually, is that the red flag going out? Yeah, red flag. Red flag has gone out. I'm afraid, fortunately, race has been stopped. And that's simply the reason why, is because we have Spencer Fortag's FN2 Civic is stationary in the middle of the road on the approach to Palmer's, and not unable to get going under its own steam again, means that unfortunately that won't be the case. Now then, in terms of the race length, now typically when the race goes beyond 75% distance, that is when they usually declare a result. Now, I would say that 3/4 distance is with 3 minutes 45 seconds left to go, because half distance is 7.5 minutes. And they haven't reached that yet. It's 4 minutes and 8. So I wonder if we're going to get possibly a dash for the cash, maybe 2-lap shootout for a restart in proper F1 style when they red flag it with 2 or 3 laps to go. That would be quite fascinating. So race has been red flagged. Race is stopped because of the fact that we have had the Spencer Fortag Civic has come to a stop on the approach to Palmer's. The race order at the stoppage at the red flag is as follows. You can see it's gone off the screen on the left-hand side, but I'll at least take a picture of it on my timing screen to remind myself what the race order was at the red flag. So let's just quickly run through the running order as they were then. So at the time of the red flag, it was Will Self who was in the lead. It was Dan Brown in second place and Phil Wright in third. Then Kevin Talbot was fourth, followed by James Allen in fifth position. Bob Barron was sixth, battling with Liam Collins. And Dave Buki, James Kith and James Alford rounded up the top 10. It was Class A cars in the top 11, because it was then Fraser McNeil in 11th place. Dan Thackeray was leading Class B, and he's ahead. He was ahead by 2 seconds the last time they completed a lap of Ryan Cunningham. But it was Sammy Milam in third position, Sam Linsner in fourth in class, and then in 16th overall, it was the recovering Tommy Knight, who might get a bit of a reprieve if we do a restart here with 4 minutes to go. Then we had Lewis Barker, who was in 17th place, 5th in Class B, followed by Spencer Fortag, who was in 18th and 6th in Class, but he dropped backwards, so maybe that was the initial stages of a problem that saw him eventually have to stop on track. And then we go backwards to Duncan Holloway, who was 19th, Luke Crassus-Menny, who was 20th, Anthony Allett, who was 21st, and then right at the back we had our 2 Class C runners, where we had Matt Rowling, who was in the lead by about half a second from Callum Houchin. So that's the running order at the time of the red flag. We're going to figure this one out whilst we do that for the next couple of minutes. Earlier on, Charlie also had a chat to another of our class contenders. In fact, it was none other than the championship leader. So let's quickly chat to Dan Thackeray, who spoke to Charlie earlier on this morning in the paddock.
Right, I'm here with Dan. Now, Dan, unstoppable Dan in Class B, leading our championship. How are we feeling going into Snet?
Yeah, good. I mean, as good as you can do, really. I mean, it's my favourite track as well, which is always nice when you turn up to your favourite. We haven't been doing any testing, as you can see the cars in there.
Yeah, we're doing a bit of change up at the moment.
Doing a bit of changes right now. We're drastically changing the car every time we go out at the moment to try and find a sweet spot, because we're new to these tyres. But if I'm going to get on the top of it anywhere, I'll probably be here, hopefully. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Obviously, a bit of mechanical failure issues at the last round. Are we on top of those?
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the lead of the race, it's never nice to give up that way. But luckily, it was repairable and made amends race 2. And it was a good race 2, actually.
Yeah.
coming back through the pack. So yeah, touch wood, none of that today.
No,
hopefully,
definitely.
yeah.
Obviously, it's closed that championship lead ever so slightly. Hoping to reopen that back up today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah. I mean, like you see, Rye's always right behind me, and
He
the
is.
other guys as well. So he was there to capitalise, as he should be, and so it means that any mistakes I make or any mechanical failures we have, he's going to take advantage. So
absolutely. No,
head down
definitely.
always.
Yeah, always. He's not making it easy for you.
No. So it should be though.
No, definitely. Obviously, well, good luck today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, the foreboding, because after that interview, he had 2 drive shaft problems, or so, at least 1 drive shaft problem and something else, which eventually led him to get himself to that point. He currently is still leading Class B, of course, at the time with his red flag. So they have managed to pull up the leading cars on the pit straight. I think they're just trying to decide exactly what to do, because officially they haven't reached 75% distance, because by my mind, 75% distance would be with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. But I'm not the clerk of the course or the steward, and I'm not the one to make the decision. Just based on what I understand and my logic is that that's how far they've gone, so therefore they haven't reached distance. Therefore, in my head, that would call a restart, but we'll wait and see what the officials decide that they want to do. We've got plenty of time to work with, because we are a little bit quite far ahead, given that this race was due to scheduled start at around about, I think it was 4:15, so we are quite far ahead of time if that's the case. So underneath the red flag then, because of Spencer Fortank's car being stationary and grinding to a halt on the approach to Palmer corner, the left-hander, and so because of that, and the car unable to remove itself again, or get moving again with its own steam, means they had to throw the red flag because the car was practically in the middle of the road. And of course, Spencer would have tried to pull it as far to the left-hand side off the road, off the racing line as much as possible, but the car is still present on the roads, therefore it needs to be moved back into position. So just having a quick scroll through the field on the grid, you see there Liam Collins and Dave Buki nose to tail. Done that once before in this race so far. And again, you get to see, at least with the Class A cars, just the different approaches to drivers who are modifying these Civics. We call it essentially like a prototype class, because these are not obviously factory spec and not even what you call Group N spec cars. They're modified to make them as fast as possible within the written rule, the regulations. See here, that was James Orford and James Kiff's cars side by side. Little thumbs up from James. He seems pretty relaxed. You can see some of these cars. The common theme with most of the Class A cars is fit a rear wing and a spoiler on it and put some more into the engine and suspension. You can see there, that's Fraser McNeil's unmissable bright yellow EG Civic for Kilted K-swaps. I think we're due to get a 3rd car out. I think it's Michael Barron, I think it is meant to come out at a black Honda Civic EG sedan, not too dissimilar to that of James Allen's car. So we're going to get a 3rd one. I think he's coming out, I think, for Knock Hill, if I'm correct. That's in a couple of rounds' time. And there's our Class B and overall championship leader, Dan Thackeray. I think he would have extended his lead a little further, given that he got the 5 bonus points in qualifying. There's our defending champion, Brian Cunningham, sporting the Kemp Models logo, proudly on the side of the car. Big thank you to them and all the championship sponsors and partners who are involved in the championship. There's Tommy Knight, who was on his charge through the field after his lap 1 spin at Murray's Corner. Again, that car's had some really nice work on it done by Europa Crash Centre, and he was very appreciative of that on social media, of all the hard work they've done to get that car sorted, and everyone involved in that. So good to see Tommy. He's back on the grid, and in a car that looks is genuinely not meant to have favourites, but it's one of my favourite looking cars on the grid. It just looks like a proper little Civic touring car, which is excellent. Just seen there Sammy Lintzner and Sammy Milam. That's the other Kinetic Motorsport car. We were supposed to have Owen Diver, but he's not here this weekend, sadly. So just the one EP3 Civic for Kinetic alongside Dave Buki's EK. There's Lewis Barker for Europa Crash Centre. And they've got an experience in a few other championships. I think they've also been starting doing some racing, I think, in the Civic Cup as well. I need to remember the actual name of the driver they're actually running in that one, but I should know that, given my extensive motorsport knowledge. Duncan Holloway, who's trying to keep cool by waving the door of the number 77 on a Motorsport Honda Civic, doing well in Class B. And there's Luke Crassus-Medu, who has got a car as pink as the hair on one of our training scrutineers. So good to see that almost colour matching. The Luke, who is more regularly a drifter in the past, but he's now turned to circuit racing. He's one of many drivers with the yellow square with the black cross on it to signify that he is a rookie. Now then, whilst I'm talking here, I can tell you they are starting to re-grid the field back up onto the front of the field in order when they finish the red flag. So Will Self then is going to line up on pole position again. with Phil Wright. So essentially it's an unchanged front row from where we had on the first start. Staying 2 drivers. It is now, it should be in third place. I think it should be Dan Brown, which says it should be Dan Brown. At the time screen just told me they'll probably take it to the last complete lap, and because of that, I think Wright was ahead of Brown at the last complete lap, which was lap 4, when everyone had finished the lap, whereas only the top 5 cars had finished lap 5, so they're taking it back, I think, to the last lap that everyone completed, which was lap 4. And on that lap, Dan Brown was behind Phil Wright, so I imagine that Dan Brown's car, which I can't see on the front of the grid, it's missing for some reason. It should be sitting in third on the grid in front of Kevin Talbot's Integra, but it's not present. So whether it's had an issue somewhere, I was going to have a quick look on the CCTV camera to see if anything's happened or if it's in the pit lane. I'll have a quick look down the pit lane and see if it's down there. I think actually it might actually be at the top of the pit lane. It is, I think. So it's right down the top of the pit lane. It's Dan Brown's Honda Civic. I think I'm straight craning out the commentary box, just through the window to see if I can see if there is a black, I presume it's a Honda Civic, right at the top of the pit lane, which says yes, there it is. So thanks to our roving camera reporter down the pit lane for confirming that. So Dan Brown, who was set to start in third, looks like his car's not due to make the start. So I hope that's not a recurrence of the problem that he had earlier on in qualifying, which saw him pull up, even though he'd set the 5th fastest time to start from row 3 for this first beginning. So there's going to be a gap there on the second row of the grid. That will give a free run for James Allen, who's going to have quite a large gap in the black Civic just to the left in shot of the pole sitter Will Self. That black Civic EG sedan is just there in 5th position, and he'll want to try and make the most of that basically free space. But so too also will Kevin Talbot, because he might see that space on the right-hand side and thinking, that's a free pass for me too. But he'll be wary of the fact that James Allen is right behind him on his right rear corner on the opposite side of the grid, trying to pick his way through. I'll be intrigued to see what both Bob Barron and Liam Collins can do from 6th and 7th on the grid. Now, Bob is a couple of places up from where he was. He started 9th alongside his teammate Fraser McNeil on the opening start, but he now gets a chance to redeem himself from P6. Liam Collins, meanwhile, he was up a little further, I think it was 3rd or 4th on the grid, but he now drops to 7th. So not quite the same race pace as he had as the pace he showed in qualifying. So he'll have some work to do to pick his way through if he can. And then we have Dave Buki, James Kiff, and James Alford, who rounds up the top 10. Confirmation that it will be a 4-minute restart, so we're going to get a proper dash for the cash here when it comes to getting a result here. And Will Self will be hoping that he can show the same pace that he did against Phil Wright. Now, what will be a shame, of course, is that Dan Brown was pressing on so well and had such a great run of pace to get up to 2nd place and past Phil Wright. And I'm certain if the race had carried on, he would have put himself into contention to be battling for the lead and the victory in those last couple of laps. But as it is, Will Self now gets to do it all again from pole position. And Phil Wright will be hoping he can get a better start from the front row of the grid to keep with Will a little bit closer off the line. As for the rest of the classes, of course, we've got Dan Thackeray, who is back in Class B pole. He'll be trying to hold off Ryan Cunningham in the early laps, as well as the likes of Sam Linster and Sammy Milam. And in Class C, we've had that battle that was going on between Matt Rowling and Callum Houchin. And Callum did get the better start in the initial laps on the first start, but then towards the end, towards the last part of that first segment, before the red flag, Matt Rowling had caught and repassed Callum Houchin and got himself in front to be able to lead the class once again and hopefully try and retain his lead even further. So around the Snetterton 300 circuit they go. There was a line of quick dry or cement dust that was laid down right on the outside of Montreal. Something obviously went bang on Spencer Fortag's car and laid down some fluid, whether it was fuel, oil, coolant, water, whatever it might have been. Something's been laid down on the outside, thankfully, of the Montreal hairpin, so it's not on the racing line, but it looks like it was a trail that started going into Montreal hairpin all the way around and on the exit where he eventually pulled up. So it's pretty much, apart from the exit of, aside from the exit of Montreal hairpin, it's mostly off the racing line, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue, and the quick dry would have done its work too to dry it up once more. So we'll have to call the grid as we see it then. So Will Self will start on pole position. It will be then Phil Wright in second, Kevin Talbot third, James Allen, well, Kevin Talbot will start from the fourth place because Dan Brown's not going to be there. It will then be fifth position on the grid for Dan Brown, sixth for Bob Barron, seventh for Liam Collins, eighth for Dave Buki, ninth for James Kiff, 10th for James Alford, and 11th for Fraser McNeil. Then we get to the Class B pole sitter, which is Dan Thackeray. He'll be ahead of Ryan Cunningham, and I think it's Sammy Milam and Sam Lintzner. And then I think it's Lewis Barker and somebody else. Remembering the rest of the grid goes as far back, I think, as that. Also in there somewhere, of course, is Tommy Knight, who was about 12th on his comeback at that point when the red flag came through. So watch for the blue Civic in the middle of the pack. He's just weaving around towards the rear of the shot, but he'll be on the 6th row of the grid, keen to make up as many places as he can from the start, because he knows he's got a faster car than the cars around him immediately. In fact, even some of the Class A cars, you want to take advantage of one or two cars being a little bit sluggish off the line and getting through as quickly as possible. So there is Dan Thackeray, there's Ryan Cunningham, then Milam, Lintzner. The rest of the pack will come through around to the grid. A few cars skipping around as the cars weave from side to side to rebuild the tyre temperatures and pressures and brake pressures back in to make them work as hard as possible. There goes our Class B runners, Thackeray, Cunningham, and Milam and Lintzner, and the rest of the order come through. Now, it is sunny out here at Snetterton, but if you look overhead, there are some very ominous and rather dark clouds. There's a bit of a contrast. There's lighter clouds and lots of sunshine coming through, but very dark clouds, particularly one that's hovering a lot over, I'd say, Brundle Nelson to around about Coram Murray way, and another one that's hovering over sort of Ritchie's, Montreal, Palmer area, that side of things. But even the sun's flying is out at the moment. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that it might not, don't think it will rain in the next 4 minutes to really spice things up even further, even though we'd like it to, in a way. But it should be fascinating to see how they work it. So, Will Self then, pole position once more. Phil Wright alongside him on the front row of the grid. There's no one on the second row, well, no one in the inside part of the second row, because Dan Brown will not take the start after he was running so hard and well in race 1. So Kevin Talbot will be alongside him there too. As the watch for the green flag at the back, which it does. And let's try this again then. So, round 7, take 2 with a 4-minute shootout to decide who takes victory in round 7 of Racing Hondas 2025. The 5-second board goes up. The red lights go on. Can Self do it again from pole position? The answer is initially yes. It's a good start. And Talbot from the 3rd row of the grid to ignore exactly what James Allen was going to do. He immediately shot to the inside line to block off the avenue for Allen, who now put him under threat from Bob Barron down towards Ritchie's for the first time on the restart. In fact, Talbot was challenging Phil Wright for second place, but once again, as it was on the first start, Will Self is unchallenged through Ritchie's corner. Down to Montreal hairpin, it's Self, Wright, Talbot, then it's Allen in 4th position, Barron's up to 5th, past Collins in 6th, then it's Buki. Someone's taken out one of the floppy markers on the exit of Ritchie's corner, still fresh and rolling around after being assaulted. The Class B battle looking pretty tasty. That's both James Alford and Tommy Knight getting amongst the top 2 in Class Bs. They pull their way through the left-hander at Palmer's for the first time, and you can see already, both on their toes, Alford and Knight not wanting to be stuck in the mire of getting through the leaders in Class B. Up the inside there for 4th goes Bob Barron, diving up the inside. He was very close. How did he miss the back of Kevin Talbot's car? I've absolutely no idea, but he did get it anchored up, and he is still in 4th position. So an incredible late dive. I saw him lock it inside front and thinking surely he's not going to make the corner, but he did get it anchored up in time, and he's up to 4th position. So, he's done it again! Sideways again, Bob Barron. Either he's pushing too hard, or he set the rear brake bias all the way to the rear, because that rear end under brakes, he's done it so many times so far this season. I hope he's learned his lesson, but he has done it again. Now it's side by side with Allen, who I think checked up to avoid a slide from Barron. This now puts Collins to his outside on the approach to Brundle and Nelson. Lights are blazed for Phil Wright as he chases after Will Self under the bridge at Brundle and Nelson. Self leads, Wright in 2nd, Talbot 3rd. Then it's Barron in 4th position. James Allen holds on to 5th, but only just. From a charging Liam Collins, and Allen runs wide, has spoken too soon. He's off onto the grass, keeps his foot in, but Collins has the track position up the inside into the bomb hole at the compression, and he's off! James Allen off sideways, got the big snap on again. Over the grass he goes, keeps his foot in. Granted, he keeps his powering his way through, gets in front back onto the track in front of a rather bemused Class B battle. That was Dan Thackeray getting past, with Ryan Cunningham just behind him too. Leaders out of Murray's for the first time. They're only going to get 2 laps here because the final lap board's going to go out. So it's only 2 laps around the Snetterton 300 circuit to decide who wins this. And Will Self, on that opening lap from a standing start, is nearly 2 seconds ahead of Phil Wright at the end of that first lap. So one more time around the Snetterton 300 circuit here. I'm actually quite glad we got a restart, because it means we can get a proper racing finish to the end. Down towards the hairpin. Here goes Buki, putting himself into Collins' mirrors. Down towards the Montreal hairpin. Buki weaving this way and that. James Kiff is in there. This is now James Orford up the inside of Fraser McNeil, edges him out wide, and there goes Tommy Knight thinking, thank you very much, 2 for the price of 1. And that's 2 positions gained. That was Tommy Knight up from 10th up to 8th. So despite his spin on the opening lap in the first start, he's up to P8. He might not be done yet because he's charging along. If the cars in front keep on squabbling, which are the likes of Kiff, Buki, Collins and Barron, he might pick up at least one more place. Through Agostini. Quick check in on the rest of the classes. It is Thackeray who leads Class B, from Cunningham in second, Lintner, Barker and Mile in the top 5, and Rowling still ahead of Houchin in Class C. So that's the order as they're on to this final lap of the race. Checker flag is in hand on the pit straight, so it is going to be checker flag this time by 35 seconds on the clock as they turn out of Williams onto the Bentley straight for the final time. Talbot looks secure in 3rd place. This battle for 4th could be on though. Down the back straight for the final time. Liam Collins senses an opportunity, but how hard is Barron going to defend? There goes Self and Wright. They look secure in 1st and 2nd. So too does Talbot in 3rd place, but he's weaving to the inside to try and possibly defend. Is that Talbot? No, Talbot's got a problem. Talbot's got a problem and he's off. He pulls up at Brendan Nelson. The Class A Championship leader is off and with a problem on the final lap. So this is for the podium. This is for the final step on the podium. Is Bob Barron actually going to finally get his first podium? Or is Liam Collins going to take it away from him? In through Coram for the final time. Don't open the door up too much, Bob. Through the right-hander, up towards Murray's. Can he hold on? He's got one big brake he's own to hold on. Gets on the brakes early, holds the position, goes into the final corner. He might just hold on to a line. As for the checker flag, Will Self will take his 2nd win of the season. It's Phil Wright in 2nd place. Now the drag race for 3rd. Who's going to get it? Bob Barron to a line. He's done it! Finally! Bob Barron takes his first podium. 3rd place after holding off Liam Collins in the end. Brilliant stuff. It's a real shame and heartbreak for Kevin Talbot with the issue on the last lap of the race when he pulled up at Brundle Nelson. But as a silver lining, a brand new podium finisher in Racing Hondas, Bob Barron has done it at last. 4th for Liam Collins, 5th for Dave Buki. That's a great result for Dave as well to get himself P5. James Kiff was 6th in the end as well. And Tommy Knight, who was in 23rd and last at one point, gets himself up on the restart to 7th place. He got past James Alford. McNeil was now 9th. And then it's James Allen in P10 after his off onto the grass. As for Class B, Dan Thackeray takes another class victory by 1.1 seconds from Ryan Cunningham in 2nd in class. Then it's Lewis Barker in the class podium in 3rd, followed by Sammy Linster in 4th position, and then Sammy Milo in the top 5. And in Class C, it is going to be another victory again for Matt Rowling, who is ahead of Callum Houcher by 2.4 seconds in the end. I really wish we could talk to all the podium finishes, because I would love to get an interview with Bob Barron after that victory. That was that 3rd place. That was an excellent work drive for him. He will be over the moon with that, because he's come so close more than once. He's been one of those really super impressive drivers who's still a rookie mind with that rookie cross on the back, finding that first podium. Well, it took 2 starts, but we got there at the end, and Will Self takes his 2nd win of the season in Racing Hondas in round 7 at Snetterton. He wins by 2.3 seconds on the restarted race with Phil Wright, and Bob Barron, after Kevin Talbot pulled off the road with an issue, gets his first podium finally in Racing Hondas, and that will make him and the Kilter K-Swaps team absolutely delighted. 4th for Liam Collins, 5th for Dave Buki in his EK Civic, 6th for James Kiff, another good result for him in the top 6 and only his 2nd event, and Tommy Knight, who was spinning at Murray's on the first lap, back up to 7th after the restart, from James Alford, Fraser McNeil and James Allen in the top 10. Dan Thackeray takes another class win in Class B. He wins by 1.2 seconds from Ryan Cunningham in 2nd place. Lewis Barker on the Class B podium in 3rd, with Sam Linster in 4th, and Sammy Milam rounding up the top 5 in class to take 15th overall. 16th went to Duncan Holloway from Luke Crassus Menu. And then it was Anthony Allett, and Matt Rowling takes another Class C victory from Callum Houchin by 2.4 seconds in the end. We lost Liam Talbot. I think he might still be classified in 21st, even though he was retired on the last lap of the race. And we lost from the race Dan Brown with an issue, who didn't take the restart, even though he in the red flag at the point he was in 2nd, having just passed Phil Wright. And Spencer Fortank, who brought out the red flag after his car seemingly expired and dropped some fluid at the Montreal hairpin, stopped on the exit towards Palmer's and had to bring out the red flag with 4 minutes to go.